Halloween had always been Lucas's favorite night. Not because of candy or parties, but because of the thrill. The creeping darkness, the masks, the stories that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Every year, he would search for something scarier than the last, something that would make people gasp, scream, or run. But this Halloween, he would discover that some scares were far more real than he could ever imagine. Weeks before Halloween, Lucas had been saving his allowance meticulously. He wanted the perfect costume, something unique, something terrifying. As twilight approached, he wandered the usually quiet main street. Most shops were closed, their windows dark. But then he noticed a building, tucked between two older structures, its wooden sign swinging in the wind. Old World Costumes. It hadn't been there before, or perhaps he had never seen it. The sign creaked eerily, the paint chipped and faded. Pushing the door open, Lucas was met with a cloud of dust, candle smoke, and a strange metallic tang in the air. The shop smelled old, alive somehow. Mannequins lined the walls, dressed in costumes from centuries past. Their faces were obscured by masks that almost seemed to breathe. Behind the counter, an old man appeared. His skin was pale, almost translucent, and his black eyes gleamed like polished stones. "Looking for something special?" he rasped. Lucas's eyes fell on a crimson vampire costume displayed in the center of the shop. Velvet as deep as blood, stitched with intricate patterns, a high collar that framed a mask-like face. The air around it seemed colder, and Lucas felt a shiver run down his spine. He reached for it instinctively. The shopkeeper's voice was a whisper. "Careful, this one chooses its wearer, not the other way around." Lucas laughed nervously. "It's just a costume." "Be sure you're ready," the man said, eyes unwavering, unblinking. That night, Lucas laid the costume out in his room. Candlelight flickered across the fabric, making it shimmer unnaturally. As he zipped it on, a strange warmth spread through his body, a heat that wasn't entirely comfortable, and his reflection in the mirror froze him with fear. His skin was paler than usual, his eyes glowed faintly red, and his teeth sharper. The reflection wasn't quite him anymore. A low hiss slithered into his mind. "Wear me. Become me." Lucas tugged at the zipper, panic rising. It would not budge. The costume clung to him like a second skin. He tried to call for his parents, but only a hiss escaped his lips. A hunger unlike any he had felt gnawed at him, not for food, but for something darker, something alive. It pulled him toward the streets. Ravenwood looked different. Shadows stretched unnaturally, following him, crawling along walls, thickening at corners. Passers-by stared, fear etched into their faces. Children paused mid-laugh, whispering, pointing. Dogs barked furiously, growling at him. His voice, when he tried to speak, was not his own, low, harsh, almost animalistic. He ran. The costume's power had taken control, making him faster, stronger, more agile, but not entirely him. Every instinct screamed, feed, hunt, become. But a fragment of his mind resisted. He stumbled into an alley. A small child in a ghost costume stood frozen, staring at him. The costume hissed, "Feed, become." Lucas shook violently, trying to resist, but the hunger surged. The child screamed and ran. Guilt clawed at him, but the pull of the costume was relentless. The alley twisted unnaturally, streets rearranged themselves, houses grew older, darker, their windows like empty, staring eyes. Shadows shifted and whispered his name. The town, once familiar, had become a maze of darkness. Lucas ran until he saw the shopkeeper again, standing under a flickering lamppost. His black eyes glittered. "It chose you. It always chooses." Lucas tried to escape, but the costume made him move faster, more inhumanely. Shadows lunged from walls, reaching for him, wrapping around him. He felt his body changing, skin paling, veins darkening, eyes glowing red. The costume's voice whispered constantly, "Feed, become, join me." Desperate, Lucas ducked into the costume shop. The door slammed shut behind him. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting dozens of versions of himself, all monstrous, all grinning with fangs. The shopkeeper appeared behind the counter. "You can fight it, or you can become it. Midnight is the limit. After that, there is no escape." Lucas ripped at the costume. It clung like iron. His reflection in the mirrors grew more monstrous with every passing second. Hunger screamed, promising power, strength, immortality, at the cost of his soul. The shop seemed alive. The walls twisted, mirrors multiplied. Shadows lunged, whispering his name. Time stretched painfully. Every heartbeat felt like an eternity. Lucas ran through the maze-like interior, smashing mirrors, trying to break the connection. A mannequin fell, its eyes glowing red in the reflection. He stumbled and watched in horror as a version of himself in the mirror stepped forward, fangs bared. Outside, the wind howled. The town itself seemed to hold its breath. Children vanished for hours, returning pale and trembling, whispering about a crimson figure with glowing eyes. Lucas's mind wavered. Midnight approached. Shadows coiled tighter. The costume hissed, "Become me, feed, join me." Summoning every ounce of willpower, Lucas remembered the old man's warning. Midnight was the boundary. With a final furious effort, he tore the costume off. Shadows shrieked and recoiled. Mirrors shattered, scattering reflections into darkness. Lucas collapsed, bleeding, shaking, exhausted, but alive. He ran home, pushing the costume into a corner, thinking it over. But when he looked in the mirror that night, his eyes glimmered faintly red. Something lingered. Days later, a package appeared on his doorstep. Inside, folded neatly, was the crimson costume. A note read, "Until next Halloween." Every Halloween after, whispers filled Ravenwood. Children vanished for hours. Townspeople reported glowing red eyes in dark alleys. And if you walked the streets after midnight, you might see a shadowy figure hunting for the next wearer of the crimson costume. The costume never dies. It only waits. And this year, it is hungry again.